Hello everybody, it's your friendly digital technology librarian, Christy here. We've reached another Friday, so of course I have another Film Rec Friday ready for everybody out there. Now, this is the week we have all been waiting for. That's right, this is the week we finally focus on our HEA guaranteed holiday romances. That is, of course, happily ever after guaranteed. You know exactly the kind of movies I'm talking about. These are usually made for TV. They follow certain tropes. The writing is oftentimes quite predictable, but at the end of the day, you end up with a story that has a warm and fuzzy romance that makes you smile and just makes you feel all the holiday spirit you could possibly want. And now that we're looking at film companies that are really trying to expand the kinds of stories they're telling, hopefully these kinds of films will be able to reach a wider and wider audience and create films that will resonate with more and more people. As always, these films are available entirely for free with the use of your Milan-Berlin library card. All of today's picks are available via either our Hoopla digital service or our Canopy service, so you can feel free to stream all of these movies. Since we are looking at a pretty cold next few days, this is the perfect time to sit down and watch some movies, snuggle down with a blanket and a warm cup of tea, and then just, veg out. So without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and jump right in to the recs. Okay, kicking things off with a selection from Hoopla. This one is actually brand spanking new. It just aired on the Lifetime channel this November 2022, and that is Santa Bootcamp. This one is definitely one of the more ridiculous concepts that I've watched this season, but at the same time, this film really, really works, and we'll get to exactly why in just a moment. Just as a quick overview, in Santa Bootcamp, we're following this young event planner named Emily. She's just been hired by this big mall magnate to put on the be-all and end-all of Christmas events. She ends up being sent to Santa Bootcamp in order to kind of figure out the meaning of Christmas and where she should be putting her priorities with this event, and just like sort of learning the ins and outs of the season. While she's there, she ends up forming a rapport with the woman who runs things. She's kind of like she's the boot camp drill sergeant, the Santa drill sergeant, I suppose. And the woman is just really delightful and sort of takes Emily under her wing and sort of really does show her the real meaning of Christmas, which I know sounds cliche, but again, HEA guaranteed holiday romance, that's kind of the name of the game. And at the same time, while she's showing her the true spirit and meaning of Christmas, she also does a little bit of matchmaking going on, like you do during these kinds of films. And that's really sort of the crux of the film, watching Emily grow as a person, where she realizes her focus can be on many more things than just this career, and really sort of finding other inroads and things that may make her a little bit happier than just what she's looking at the moment. This is one of those tropes that is in so many of these films. There's actually a hilarious meme about this very same thing, how it's holiday movie season, where the time when every woman deserts her cold, hard executive partner for a flannel-wearing Christmas tree farmer. There really is this meme that I just came across this year, and I was like, that is hilarious and so on point for these movies. But yeah, that's definitely a trope that's at least in part in this mix. And of course, like I said, these films are to varying degrees quite predictable, but it's the little things that make them interesting and watchable and rewatchable. What is absolutely phenomenal about Santa Bootcamp is its cast. Emily is played by a young actress named Emily Kinney. If you watched The Walking Dead, she played Beth, but she's also a really great singer-songwriter. She's been in several other series in some capacity, and she does a great job of sort of portraying this sort of almost manic energy that Emily has, and sort of her journey to sort of like figuring out how to channel it and sort of her discoveries about herself. The young man who plays her love interest is played by a gentleman named Justin Gaston. I believe that he was in Days of Our Lives, I want to say. I was looking at his filmography and was like, I think I know that person's name. But yeah, he's also a singer-songwriter, I believe, does a great job as the love interest. But the shining star of this series is definitely the woman who runs the boot camp. Her name is Belle, and Belle is played by the incomparable Rita Moreno. I absolutely adore Moreno in everything she's in. She just brings this sort of ridiculous energy to the characters she plays. It doesn't matter if we're talking about like West Side Story or anything like, or really intense dramatic straight roles. Like she's just fantastic, and she has so much fun with this role. She knows she's not going up for an Oscar, but she doesn't phone it in either. She's having a great time, and I think the whole cast can kind of feel that, and everybody definitely feeds off of that vibe. It's just a really fun movie. It is absolutely absurd. Like the storyline is so ridiculous, Santa Boot Camp, but it's almost secondary to a lot of it. Like it's just fun, and it is kind of different. Like I mean, like I said, there are definitely tropes that are hardcore at play in this one, but it's also kind of odd and a little bit off the beaten path from what I've been watching. And I do think Lifetime is very good at that, taking standard tropes and spinning them just enough so it feels like a Lifetime movie. Earlier this year, I did Christmas in July, like I mentioned. I talked about a film that Reba McEntire was in that I thought was great. It was probably one of the best HEAs I'd watched in a while. You had two romances going on in there, and that was also a Lifetime. I do think they're doing a great job as far as playing around with some of these themes. So yeah, like I was saying, the acting in this is great. I love the cast. It's also directed by Melissa Joan Hart, who I will forever and ever adore because of Sabrina the Teenage Witch. I mean, like, can't help it. And she does a good job. Like I said, like it's all about the acting, and like the directing is really kind of key to that. So Santa Boot Camp, what could be absolutely ludicrous and unbelievably bad, it's actually a lot of fun. It really, really is. So if you are looking for something really funny, because it is very, very funny, if you're looking for something that has a great almost mother-daughter vibe to it, because Moreno, like I said, definitely her character takes Emily's character under her wing, and with a very nice, very charming romance, check out Santa Boot Camp. It's on Hoopla. It's super new, and I think you'll really, really like it. Okay, moving right along to our second recommendation. This one is also available on Hoopla, and that is 2021's Sister Swap, A Hometown Holiday. This one, interestingly enough, is actually part of a 2-movie series that aired pretty much the same time. These two films absolutely do not have to be watched together or back to back. You don't even need to watch one or the other in order to get the story. It's actually kind of 2 parts of the same story told by different points of view, which I do think is a really interesting concept. Hometown Holiday is anchored by the actress Kimberly Williams Paisley, who I absolutely adore. And I do think that this one is probably the stronger acted film, but they're both very, very good. In A Hometown Holiday, we are following Jennifer and Meg Swift. They are sisters who are incredibly close, but at this point in their lives kind of live very separate lives. They live in 2 totally different cities. One lives in her hometown, another lives in Salt Lake City, and that's Jennifer. Jennifer, again, played by Kimberly Williams Paisley. She runs this really successful restaurant that she had originally opened with her late husband. She now has a teenage son. She's constantly busy and on the go, as one would expect to someone who owns an incredibly successful business to be. She goes back home for a family Christmas celebration and discovers that the family's favorite theater is going to close, and she just has so many fond memories with this building and with all of the people who she's grown up seeing movies with, and she decides to sort of organize this last Christmas celebration at the movie theater. And of course, as she's putting together this big event, she of course meets somebody, because that's just how these kinds of movies go. She meets someone and they really, really have sparks and they hit it off, and things just go from there. And it's really very lovely, and it's very family centric, where we're talking about multi-generations, we're talking about memory and heritage. And I do really love those kinds of stories where we do look at previous generations, at parents and the relationships that children have with their parents, and then the children of these children. And it's just, I do really like those kinds of stories that don't just focus on the romance, and this does a great job at that. This also has some really great sister moments, because, like I said, we were talking about two different stories told from two different points of view. We don't get as much screen time together, I think, as I was expecting, because, we do really focus on Jennifer in this particular film. But the moments when they are together are really kind of lovely. And what's super interesting is that the women who play sisters in this are sisters in real life. Kimberly Williams Paisley and her sister, Ashley Williams. Ashley Williams was also in How I Met Your Mother and a number, I believe, of Hallmark movies in the past. But they, of course, have great chemistry as sisters, but they just do very well on screen together. I really love the relationship that Jennifer and Meg have here and that we get to see. So you get a lovely romance. The romance is very, very nice. I like it. I think it's more appealing than some of the other romances that I've watched. Like I mentioned before, there are those memes about, oh, I just found this random guy who is completely different from me and completely different from people that I know, and that's why I've fallen. Like, it feels significantly less like that, and it really does feel like, oh, they have a lot in common, and it just sort of shared history and things like that. It's a really lovely, soft, fluffy romance. But even more so than that, I do love the connection that she has with her family from back home. I think that's the big sell point of this one, and the relationship that she is able to further develop with her son, because, like I mentioned, she's so busy with her business that, like, some things get disconnected, and it is nice to see her be able to share things with him that she hadn't been able to share before. So if you're looking for something that's very much like a soft, fluffy romance with a lot of great family moments and nostalgia to it, check out Sister Swap, a hometown holiday. It's really sweet and fluffy and just a really nice, soft, happily ever after guaranteed holiday romance. Okay, moving on to our next recommendation, and that is also available on Hoopla. That is 2020's Holly and Ivy. Now, this one's a little bit different. It's a bit more bittersweet than most of the other HEA guaranteed movies I've watched, I think. But it is really quite lovely by the end of the film. I mean, the relationships you see on screen are really organic feeling. It's quite a sweet and lovely movie. So in Holly and Ivy, we're following Melody. She's a young woman. She's just got her master's degree. She's working towards being a librarian, but nobody is hiring. So she's in a bit of a financial bind. She has this house. It's great, but it's definitely a fixer-upper. Definitely a fixer-upper. She is also very, very close to her neighbor Nina and Nina's two girls. She loves them. They're named Holly and Ivy. I know, they're named Holly and Ivy. Clearly the only reason for this is so that you could call the Christmas movie Holly and Ivy. But whatever, it's fine. They're really cute girls. They do a great job. They're kid actors who I actually am not irritated by. They really are quite solid. Anyway, everything is going as well as can be expected. As mentioned, she has like some financial issues, but she's slowly putting this house together. It's going to be her dream house. You know, she is super excited at one point. She finally fixes her bathtub so it's like totally functional, and she's proud of the things that she's accomplishing. It's not quick, but it's all her, and she's really pleased by that. And then things kind of take a turn. Nina discovers that she's been diagnosed with terminal cancer, and she's pretty much all on her own with the girls. And Melody, being so close to them, promises Nina that no matter what, she's going to take care of the girls, that she doesn't have to worry. The girls will be taken care of. This is, of course, very much a challenge. Fixer-upper is really a nice way of putting this house. So she needs to renovate this home, and she needs to make it livable and comfortable for these two young girls before she can really move along with legal issues, as far as like adoption and things like that go. So this is the moment when contractor Adam enters the picture, who is a very nice guy. He's got his own story, and it's actually quite a solid story, as far as having his own set of conflicts and challenges that he has to face. And of course, Melody and Adam really hit it off. There's always this sort of spark between the two of them, but of course, Melody's not really in a great position for a new budding romance, and you know, he doesn't want to rock the boat, and there's just a lot of complications. But this is an HEA guaranteed, so it should be no shock that things do really pretty much work themselves out. Again, none of those kinds of, that's not a spoiler. That's the whole point of these movies. But really, as with all of these films, it's the journey to get there. And I don't know that I've watched another HEA that had such an intensely heavy storyline with one of the characters. I mean, Nina is terminal. We know that, and we know the trajectory of her storyline. And at no point does this get maudlin, because I definitely expected it to. When I read the description, I was like, well, we'll try it because it's different, but I don't know. But it never did. There's always this sense of, it's hard to explain. They do it really sensitively, and I really appreciated that. They never make it like, they never use it it doesn't feel like a trope, which I think is really, really key to making this particular film work. And it really does feel like it's been filmed sensitively, and with people who may have had to deal with things like this at the holidays in mind, you know, like it's so I definitely could appreciate this particular aspect of the film. The cast is really cool because it stars people I don't think I really see very often in HEAs. I know one I've never seen in it. So Melody is played by Janelle Parrish, who is one of the main girls in Pretty Little Liars. I'm pretty sure she's never been in one of these. She also was in Dancing with the Stars, if you're more of a Dancing with the Stars person. She went pretty far, I think. I think she was one of the last dancers standing. But yes, like I mentioned, she's playing Melody. Her love interest, Adam, is played by Tony Award nominee Jeremy Jordan, who is a fantastic performer. He was in the film adaptation of Last 5 Years. He's been on a number of TV series. I believe he was a character in Supergirl. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure that he was in there. And Marisol Nichols plays Nina. She's been in tons and tons of series. But they're all people who I've not seen in these kinds of made-for-TV romances before. And especially Janelle and Jeremy, I feel like fresh faces are kind of rare in these very specific genred films. And it's nice to see a different kind of acting style, because it definitely is. you've got this stable of actors you usually are used to seeing, that I'm sure the directors and all the behind the science scenes people are very used to. And then you have completely different faces, people who perform in a different way, who maybe take direction in a totally different way. And I really appreciated that. And I think that's part of what makes this one really, really work and feel very, very fresh. As mentioned, of course, since we are dealing with cancer, it is a bit of a bittersweet story, but done sensitively, it really, really does resonate very much as an uplifting film that I think does make it an excellent holiday picture. So if you are looking for something that really delves deep into a character really finding herself, realizing that she can do things that she didn't believe were possible, with a really great romance at the heart of it, and then an even stronger relationship with between her and these two young girls that she plans to adopt. It's really, really good. I think you should definitely check it out. Again, Holly and Ivy, available on Hoopla. It's must watch. Okay, final recommendation this week is available on Canopy, and that is 2021's Sappy Holiday. Why would I pick a movie called Sappy Holiday? Because it's a pun. No, seriously, I love puns, so there was no way I wasn't at least going to watch it. And come to find out, it's actually a really good little holiday romance. In Sappy Holiday, we are following Joy. She's a young, aspiring chef who is currently in a job that just undervalues her like crazy. She does have a boyfriend named Greg who she's pretty sure is going to pop the question, but that has its own set of issues along with it. She does meet his parents, and that's not great. She's very definitely at a crossroads in her life. Switching over to her love interest, that is James. James is desperately trying to keep his family's generations old maple tree farm afloat. His father ended up having to take out some massive loans, and so they're in pretty serious debt. They're at a point when it looks like they may have to sell the farm, and he absolutely does not want to. He does not want to lose this legacy. He wants to be able to continue to pass it on to the generations. And, he is also clearly at a crossroads. If you can't see where this is going, I don't know. You've missed the last couple of segments. So Joy ends up trying to travel up to Vermont and ends up crashed in an embankment after a snowstorm. James just happens to be driving by, sees her, rescues her. She finds out from the local mechanic that it's actually going to be several days before her car is going to be in working order. And James, because this is just what you do, you just generally will invite strangers to your home over the holidays. That's what everybody does, right? At least that's what everybody does in HEA guaranteed films. So Joy ends up going to James's farm to celebrate the holidays with his family, or not to celebrate the holidays, but to stay at his farm as his family celebrates. And of course, she ends up falling in love with the whole family. It's not even just about James, it's also about his, up background and the people who are in his life and the farm itself, his nieces, and it's kind of like a made for TV while you were sleeping in a way, minus the amnesia and the trains in Chicago. In any case, there's that similar vibe where it's really as much about how much this family makes her feel loved and how much she loves the family, as much as it is the burgeoning romance between Joy and James. I will say they have great chemistry, the two of them. It's really very, very cute and very, very sweet. But her relationships with the other people in his family are just as key and really, really help flesh out the story. This one, of all of them, in that regard, feels the most like your standard HEA film. I mean, if you watch the trailer, you 100% know exactly what's going to happen in the story, which I know, that's pretty much all of these. but this one especially so. But at the same time, something about this particular cast, the characters we're talking about, it makes it really, really different. And I really enjoyed the acting from these two leads and the chemistry that they had together. I really, really did. I thought that they made like a pretty predictable story feel a little bit fresher and a little bit more nuanced, because they really, really are like solid performers. I am not familiar with these people at all. I mean, like I was just talking about, with these HEA films, we've got very familiar faces. That's a stable of actors that are used over and over and over again. Now, this is not Lifetime, it's not Hallmark, I don't believe, but it's very much an HEA. And I don't know if perhaps this production company does have a very specific stable of actors, but I liked the performances in this. I really, really did. And I also just enjoy films that sort of combine family, romance, food, and cuisine, because again, Joy is a chef, so that they have to do that. And it's predictable but also supremely enjoyable, and it's just light and fluffy and a really good film. So if you're looking for light, fluffy, predictable but incredibly sweet, definitely check out Sappy Holiday. You will absolutely enjoy it, I guarantee. So again, available on Canopy, 2021's Sappy Holiday. Okay, so those were my picks for HEA guaranteed holiday romances. If you have any recommendations that fit that bill, comment with the recs right below. I always look forward to seeing those. If you have any recommendations for future themes that you would like to see, definitely let me know about those. Always need help in that regard. We are heading into some pretty cold weather, so it looks like this would be the perfect time to check these out. But if none of these worked, make sure you check out our other options within Hoopla Digital and Canopy. There are thousands and thousands of movies on there. This is the perfect time to explore those catalogs because it's going to be awfully cold. I know I'm going to try and avoid going anywhere if I can help it. And I'm probably going to watch a whole lot of movies, not going to lie. I, as always, love, love, love having the chance to do deep dives into our catalog, put these lists together. They're always so much fun. This is going to be the last rec vid for 2022. Thank you. Thank you for making this a great year. Thank you for tuning in. I always appreciate hearing from the people who watch, and I always hope that these recommendations help you find a video that you might really, really enjoy, that you might not have found otherwise. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and bring this episode to a close. Happy holidays and a very happy new year to everyone out there. And with that, let's go ahead and say bye-bye.